Hello and welcome to my new channel. You are seeing a cartoon because I am not going to do raw footage on this particular channel. I saw another YouTube vlogger who was using a cartoon and I thought that's a good idea. I'm going to do that. I won't have to worry about camera equipment, lighting, angles, or makeup or what the background is or anything like that. I can just turn on a cartoon. So I like that idea and I thought I would take that idea for my channel. So thank you for tuning in. We're talking about Real Housewives of Potomac. Now, full disclosure, I don't really follow the Housewives series. In 2012 and 13, I watched Housewives of Beverly Hills. And that was back when Adrienne Maloof was still married to her plastic surgeon husband. I don't even think she's on anymore. So that's how far back it was. And then I also watched the Housewives of DC for that one boring season. And that is about it when it comes to the Housewives franchise. But I went ahead and I tuned in for the Housewives of Potomac because I'm somewhat familiar with the area. And I see that there are a lot of people posting comments about episode 1 and 2 so far. So let's get into it. I'm not going to give a play-by-play of each scene because there's already plenty of videos already out there that will be doing that every week. So I'd like to talk about something else. So let's first go into the suspects for this particular season. So far we see Giselle, college educated, Robin, college educated, and Katie, college educated. Notice how none of the women in the cast mention their mothers. And I think that's so interesting because the only person who seems to have a mother who was accomplished and college educated with a successful career is actually Katie, and her mother is an executive. And so I just think that's very interesting that no one has mentioned their mothers, and it seems that all of these women have mothers who really were either not successful in terms of the terms of society, or they just haven't talked about it, which I find that to be interesting because we certainly have heard about what some of the fathers are doing and how prestigious they are. So while we're on that subject, let's talk about Giselle. Giselle's father was mentioned as kind of someone who worked with Martin Luther King. Keep in mind, a lot of men his age, if they had anything at all to do with any type of initiative, they'll say, oh, I was working with King, as if they were working alongside each other. Show us the pictures and then we'll believe. So the other issue is there's also commentary that Giselle's father was this high-ranking official at NASA. He was at a director level, probably a director of some programs, but at NASA, that doesn't make you a high-ranking official. And so I think sometimes for TV, for social media, it gets all blown up out of proportion. But believe me, there are a lot of people at the director level and they are not considered high ranking. However, if you happen to be Black and you're at NASA, perhaps that changes the equation somewhat in terms of, you know, other people who are in office type positions looking at those people as the successful Blacks at NASA. But anyway, so let's go into Katie. Her mother is accomplished. Her mother was married twice. I see that there's a lot of conversation online about her Katie saying that she's biracial. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with claiming the ancestry of your parents equally. Doesn't mean that you are downplaying anyone else's, but if you're a mixture, you can say you're a mixture. That doesn't mean you're downplaying either side at all. Mixture is mixture. So I think people can get over that. As far as her affinity for Jewish culture, if her mother grew up as a Jew, which apparently her mother did. She grew up with her parents, both of them being Jewish. There's nothing wrong with her finding that to be important for her and important for her children. Her mother converted and her stepfather was already Jewish. So if she grew up in that culture and that's what she wants to share with her children, Again, that doesn't mean that she's diminishing any other religion. It just means that that's what she was exposed to as a child, and she feels it's important enough to expose it to her children. So I see a lot of conversation about that. I think that's kind of a non-issue. And as far as people saying, oh, well, she doesn't know that much about Jewish culture anyway, well, who cares? Her mother converted. Her stepfather was Jewish. She has decided that she wants to embrace that for her children. It doesn't matter if she wants to become more familiar with it now as an adult at this point in time. I hardly think that that's something that matters. But I do believe part of her motivation may be that she feels it may make her a more appealing wife candidate if she is a Jewish woman. So we'll stay tuned for that. Let's talk about Robin. I think it's very nice to see that Robin is going to be the person on the cast who is no drama. And I think, you know, her situation, she has not tried to sugarcoat anything. It is all on the internet that she had to declare bankruptcy, probably to keep their house. Her husband was only in the NBA for probably 6 or 7 years. He was not a marquee player. He was not a Michael Jordan. He was not an NBA player who had all of the big multi-million-dollar endorsements. And after the NBA, it's not like he was making millions doing something else. She has a job as a PR exec, and she may be making 80 grand a year in that area, which is what many PR execs are making when they don't own their own firm, which she doesn't. So she has a job, and she gets to work from home. Hey, that's fine. She seems like a sweet person. She's not coming on the show trying to pretend to be anything other than. As far as living with your ex-husband, it may be financially feasible to live with your ex-husband, as opposed to your ex-husband having a different home, putting money into that other home, and that's money that he could be spending on his own children. So if it works for them, it works for them. If she wants to have a sexual relationship with her ex-husband and not know whether he's seeing other people, that's on her. And who says that that's even the case at all? But if it is, it is. If he's out there dating and then living with his ex-wife, telling other women, oh, I just live there and we're not intimate and we're not this and that, well, guess that gig is up because she's already on TV now saying that they sleep in the same bed. So who knows if he has been dating other people. She said when Giselle asked her, is he dating other people? She said, not that I know of. So obviously she hasn't talked to him about it, hasn't asked him, because he would have said yes or no, and then she would have had a yes or no answer when asked about it. Giselle is not living with her ex-husband, but they're on good terms. And unfortunately, Giselle was divorced and probably did not want to be divorced and probably did not want to be a single mother. But she married a man who already had 2 baby mamas and 2 children that we know about because, you know, in the court, they've both filed for child support. And it's also rumored that he has even a 3rd baby mama. But as far as the courts are concerned, we don't know who she is, if she exists. So Giselle seems to be doing her own thing as a divorced woman and seems to enjoy the opportunities to just be out there and date. She already put out there on television when Karen asked her about reconciliation. She has no plans to do that with Jamal Bryant, and that she's just moved on with her life. And it's been a long time. She was divorced when her kids were 2 years old, so they were very young. So she's moved on with her life, so good for her. But let's just talk a little bit about Karen, shall we? Karen came from a farm. They already said that. Karen hasn't mentioned her parents, where they came from. We can assume that they're uneducated and that Karen has no education. She's saying that she's 50. She looks closer to 60, but again, no career, 2 children with 2 different men, and probably no college education, or she would have brought it up by now. So we'll have to stay tuned to see what Karen wants to bring to the table. And stay tuned for part 2, because I have more to talk about.